Okay, it says we're live. We are still kind of collecting ourselves here, but we do already have somebody on the YouTube channel, it looks like. Oh, let me get our chat up here. 1 second, folks. Is that music I'm hearing or a 3D printer?
Oh, that's my idiot clock. Sorry.
Oh, I couldn't quite make it
My
out.
wife bought me this clock, and I don't have the heart to tell her that it drives me insane. It plays all this music every 15 minutes.
Hi, Ben.
Morning, everybody.
Oh boy, we get Adam twice.
Ben and I are in the same room, so we're each playing with our mute buttons.
You got to alternate meeting. Spacebar, push to talk. Okay, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen and get organized a little bit here. So I think today's going to be a little bit different. I don't quite know who we're going to get. We were trying to gather some of the folks that have been stepping in that we have on our list here as, I guess, what we're calling emerging potential leaders, for lack of a better term. And certainly they're not all available, but some. We already have Adam here and Saif, and we'll see who else is able to join. And Rick, of course. We'll go ahead and get started then. By the time we get down to that, hopefully we'll have a couple more. So quick review of action items. Ben and John, you obviously emailed those very same people that I just mentioned, and we'll see who is able to make it today. But I guess one of the things that we talked about is that hopefully this will be an ongoing discussion, not just the today thing. Whoever's not available today, maybe they'll join next week and the week after. And this, this can be an open forum for the continuing discussion on that end. Okay, Bionx meeting next week. Invite Lawrence and parents. Did somebody invite them?
I did, and it sounds like Lawrence is going to try to make it, and I invited a couple other of the parents to join us. There's been a number of parents commenting.
On the Bionx specifically?
Lawrence on the Bionx, but a couple other parents of close to adult children that are looking for
okay. Yeah, I saw one today.
Yeah, which is great. So that's
it is.
It's an opportunity, I think, not just for devices, but getting the youth engaged in the whole process, designing their prosthetics and understanding how it works.
Yeah, thanks. Next one was for me to email Ed and check in on next steps. I have still not heard back. I'm going to leave that as an open item, so I'll try to follow up again. Maybe he probably just got into a busy period. Ben and John email potential enable leaders with recording of, okay, that was part of that other email, right? You shared a recording of that, Ben. Okay, so that's taken care of. And let's see, I don't know if there's anything we need to go over here. Yeah, so some of this stuff, these are longer term things that I hopefully will come out through this discussion that we're going to have with some of the folks that are going to be able to join us here about how do we update our catalog pages. I know Ian had some ideas about that specifically, about incorporating the NIH 3D print exchange. Let's see, Alexander was at one time working on curating some frequently asked questions from the Discord. I don't know that ever materialized, and I think he's focused elsewhere at this point. I know there was sort of some work on a chapter spotlight for the one in Florida with Rich Brown. Is that still on the horizon, Ben?
Oh, that was lightning. I apologize.
Oh.
And thunder. Rich Brown. So the chapter closed down, but yeah. He did make a donation. That's what that was about.
Yeah, but the goal was you were going to write up you wanted to do a spotlight about the work they had done, everything. Did we decide we're not pursuing that? This is an article with Rich in the works.
Let me follow back up with Rick.
Okay.
And see if I can close the circle. Thanks.
And then this last one, dealing with potential partnerships with FlashForge and/or Creality. I saw an email, I think it was just this morning, about the FlashForge thing, but I didn't get to read it. One of you want to give us an update?
You want to mute here? So we did go back and forth with flashboards. It sounds like they're interested. They had one model of printer that probably wouldn't be so ideal for prosthetics, and they circled back around to accepting a larger bed printer that Dean Rock had suggested,
Okay.
which I think would work well for them. The quantity is on a smaller scale than what we were hoping, but I had sent an email to you guys to see if we want to basically use the Creality project in Tanzania as sort of a parallel model to share with them, to show them, hey, just so you guys know, there's this really cool project that Creality is doing, and they're donating X amount of printers. We'd really like to have this project in the Dominican Republic be something that also has, some sustainability to it. Would you guys consider, being a little bit more generous?
I think it's a good idea to share with them an example of another successful project. I guess my question would be on timing. I assume that at the completion of the project in Tanzania, there's going to be they're going to want to do a write-up, and they'll probably put together a nice summary with photos and all that. Would it be more effective to share it with them after that sort of deliverable has been completed, or now? That would be my question.
That's a good question. I mean, there is a lot of documentation already from Kyle's previous trip and from even the Lumio process to show how it all works. I think we could also, like Kyle modeled, I think we can ask if we can, sort of drum up some additional support, through either kind of like from e-NABLE specifically or from crowdfunding, to match some of their efforts. But it does, what I want to avoid is a lot of additional song and dance for, a smaller gift, because it's the same amount of work for us whether we do one or 10 printers in terms of we document.
So they did just do, I don't know if you saw this, they did this write-up recently about that project. And it's basically an interview with Kyle, but it does include some nice photos and an overview of what they're doing. Maybe it would be worth sharing this with them as an example of, what they could do.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, if you want to just add that into the chat,
Yeah.
I'll follow up. I haven't read that yet.
Okay, there you go. It's got the wrong tracking idea there, but it'll work. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, that might, and it, for what it's worth, I suspect that Kyle took my advice and injected him into the editing cycle, because the language on this one is much, much better than the last write-up they did on Kyle. So I suspect he was involved in checking their writing, and this one was pretty well written.
That's great. Yeah, and the FlashForge proposal was something that we did want to try to figure out how to leverage it with, what we're currently trying out with Creality. So it does seem like this is a great opportunity for us to see if we can get some kind of branded support. I do wonder if we want to follow up, or I can follow up with John, some of the lessons learned from the Creality experience would be worth writing some notes on, and then in the early stages, making sure, like getting sort of a check off in the editing process. I think we want to sort of continue with whatever worked and didn't work with the Creality project.
Right. All right, good stuff. All right, so on we go. Let's see. Our special presentation from Everton got moved to next Thursday, so August 11th. Is that still the plan? I didn't see it on my calendar yet.
Yeah, he's hoping for 8 p.m. Next week, Wednesday.
Okay.
8 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern,
so
yeah.
7 for you.
Okay, sounds good. I will try to make that. Let's see, our metrics are here. This is kind of a summary of what's going on. I do have to point out that e-NABLE fund balance is now inaccurate, thanks to me. That proposal that was approved recently for reimbursement, that got paid out. So we will see that balance go down once Evan catches up. But otherwise, it looked pretty typical to me, so I don't think there's anything really to call out here. I will remind us that number of active chapters is probably inaccurate at this point. We really have to do a chapter audit. So I have not really been, I've just been leaving that at 202 for, I think, several months now. We don't really have anyone any clear number on that right now. I only had time to pull one post, or there was only one that really looked like it was worth discussing. So posts, we usually like to highlight some of the more commented or more active posts in the hub. So this one was from Marco Dominguez. He was asking about the unlimited arm. He was having some trouble figuring out, like, hey, why is there only an SCAD file here instead of STL files? And he figured out that thanks to the comments here that you have to use OpenSCAD and you have to use that for scaling. And then he got further confused because he wasn't able to generate all the parts. And so they pointed out that there are instructions and that you have to select under preview each part. You can choose which part you're generating. And so they went through that and helped him. But the main thing I wanted to highlight here was Thierry from France jumped in and shared the fact that they have a page on their website with instructions, and it does have an English version. And it's pretty nice. And I was not aware of this, like so many things that they have. So here's that page. And this is the English version. So they talk about how to, get the models, what you can do in terms of using OpenSCAD for the scaling. It's pretty good instructions. It's a pretty good overview of how to generate the parts you need. So just wanted to share that because this is one of those things that we keep talking about, kind of collecting some of these nuggets that show up in the comments. This is another one that I was not aware of. It would be nice to figure out a way of kind of capturing these resources somehow and doing something with them. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
That's actually, I think, the kind of thing that Ian Roy will be focusing on.
Great.
Who may join us later today.
I did not have a chance to update this. So let's see. What is our next upcoming meeting then? Do we have one today?
We do. There's a meeting today with it's the Bionx meeting with.
Oh, it is the Bionx. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had the right one highlighted. And do we have an August summary yet, or are you still working on collecting the data for that?
We're still working on getting some confirmations for that one.
No problem. We'll come back to that next week. Let's see. So in our ongoing feature series of Dr. Rick Williams, we've already done one episode talking about his alternative fabrication processes. And I now have him scheduled for 3D Universe Untethered so that we can talk about using MIDI in assistive devices. And I think I think it was like a week out or something, wasn't it, Rick? I can't remember exactly what the date was, but we'll have that.
August. I think it was a week. I think it was a week from now, August something.
That sounds right. So anyway, and then it takes me about a week or so to get the recording out there. So we'll have that coming in the next several weeks. Okay, discussion topics. So I really wanted to, I kind of left this open intentionally today as far as agenda because I wasn't sure who was going to be able to join, and I wanted to allow us a chance to talk amongst this new and emerging group here. It looks like we've ended up with Adam and Rick from our list here. We should add in Saif, who's joined us here, and I'm not quite sure how to handle this now. We've already talked with Adam recently. I'd love to get an update. Adam shared some wonderful updates from with me by email that now thankfully he can share himself with you guys. So maybe that's a place to start. In fact, I went ahead and copied him in here. Do you want to kind of talk us through this, Adam?
Yeah, sure. Just looking at what you have included here. Yes, so what I was describing is where I feel like I can be of most use. And I apologize, I'm staying at my sister's place in Colorado this week. We're on vacation, the boys and me. So you're going to hear some barking dogs and things in the background.
Yeah, no problem.
But there are, assuming that the route that I'm going to be following with the organization, nice mug, Rick, by the way.
I can't read it.
Sorry.
No, that's great. Assuming that the route that I follow is primarily in focusing on outreach, I think that can sort of fall under a number of different definitions, and I pursued a few of them, trying to follow my strengths, and landed on a couple of potential action items. Outreach interpretation number one is, as I see it, trying to, and we talked about this during the town hall a couple of weeks ago when I introduced myself, but trying to address that mismatch between the number of makers we have and the number of digital recipients we have. And to address that, I reached out to part of my network that is more focused in the public health sphere, and found my way to a contact based in Afghanistan who leads up the pediatric orthopedic rehabilitation hospital there. It's the only orthopedic hospital currently active in Afghanistan per his report. And I'm leaving, just for transparency, I'm leaving names out of it for the time being until I have things a little bit more solid, just so that there's no, potential for miscommunications. But in speaking with my contact there, he is the director of the hospital and works in concert with the Afghan lead of the International Red Cross, and also with the National Health Ministry. I'm hoping to have a conversation with the entire group at some point here in the next couple of weeks. But obviously, with the time difference and a few other things, communication can be a little challenging. So I'm doing my best to be patient, but I'm pretty excited. In short, what we're looking at is trying to find some way to service the thousands and thousands of kiddos who are casualties of war. It's possibly the highest concentration of amputees, both adult and pediatric, in the world right now, just given the ongoing ceaseless conflict there. And that's compounded by the fact that all of their service infrastructure is so tenuous and so lessened over the past several years and decades. So what we're looking at is trying to find a way to utilize our maker network that we have with e-NABLE, and seeing if we can, harness that energy to start getting these devices out. Maybe starting with kiddos, but if possible, and again, I don't want to overstep my bounds, but seeing if we can service the larger community in Afghanistan as well. There's just thousands of people who have no access to prosthetic services right now. And that we could make a tremendous difference, I think, if we were to find some way to confidently get things across the border and deliver to people. They're confident that they're able to take photos and get measurements and get everything they need to on their end, but they don't have access to 3D printers. They don't have access to traditional means for device manufacturing. So this would be just an astonishing opportunity to really help some people. That's the number one thing that I'm most excited about in my life right now.
That's fantastic,
I'm hoping that
Adam. And
yeah,
to be clear, you're not overstepping your bounds. I think you're proceeding very well.
Okay, good to know. So, and I'm happy to talk more about any of these items, but prong number two of what I kind of think of as falling into the category of outreach is trying to expand our awareness and our presence. And one of the best ways these days is to pursue social media. As you get to know me, you'll maybe learn that I am allergic to all forms of social media, and have never been a fan. I haven't been on Facebook for years and years, and never got a Twitter account or anything like that. My wife is more into that kind of thing. But I do recognize that TikTok is really where companies are finding success in getting audiences and raising awareness and boosting their fundraising potential. So I contacted a friend of mine who works in digital marketing. She and I go back to our childhood days, and she has run a number of social media campaigns over the years and gave me a great deal of advice about how this could be leveraged in an effective way. I should really, since I'm on vacation, I haven't had time to write this up. I apologize, but I will. I'll put together a quick summary of my findings. But in short, I've already created a TikTok account for e-NABLE. Again, hope I'm not overstepping my bounds.
That's
But
perfectly
wanted to just
fine.
capture that before it's lost. But what inspired me to do that was, and I sent a message out to y'all, was Rick's presentation last week, showing what he had done with the bicycle chain to create a device. And and what it was being used to do. I'm trying to balance, on the one hand, trying to maximize our potential to acquire funds and utilize that to help more people, against this sort of oogie feeling of taking advantage of people and like plastering their face on the screen to say, hey, look at this, isn't this heart touching? But I think there's a way to do it tastefully and respectfully, in a way that can also capture attention, and that's primarily what my contact was advising on, how to approach that in a responsible way. So excited about that too. I think there could be a lot of energy there. I tried to Shanghai my wife into being e-NABLE's TikTok manager, and she flatly refused. So I wanted to poll the group and see if anyone here or anyone in the community would be interested in, once things have gotten up and running, and once we have a sort of method and process for acquiring video, editing video, and releasing it on a regular schedule. If that were something that seemed successful, if there were anyone who wanted to become like our social media manager, it might be a worthwhile position.
Something occurs to me, Adam. I don't know if this would help or not, but I love what you're doing. I think that's a great way to get started. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can sort of re-leverage those video assets that you come up with. We have, John, help me out here, because I'm getting my nonprofits confused, I think. I know the other one I work with has a Google grant for nonprofits. Do we have that for e-NABLE? Did we ever get the Google nonprofit?
I believe so.
Okay, so if we have that, part of that grant for nonprofits includes unlimited free Google advertising. Whatever Google ads we want to set up, we can run. And what it just occurred, I'd never thought about this, but what I'm wondering now is, does that include YouTube video ads? I suspect it might. And if it does include video ads, which we've never leveraged for e-NABLE, we could take, the same as what you're going to probably use for TikTok, probably a 30-second clip or something, and we could run that as a YouTube video ad, which I use in my business on a paid basis, and they're actually a lot more effective these days than the traditional ads. So that's something we could look into, something to keep in mind.
That's a great idea. Okay, perfect. Well, great synergy.
Yeah. Let me know if I can help. I think I have all the admin access, so we can, if you want to work on that together, we can set that up. It would basically just be a matter of getting the video assets together first.
Yeah. So really, what I was thinking of would be, there are a couple of things to consider, like getting release forms from recipients' families, making sure that they're okay and are aware of the intended use of those assets. But if I could get a hold of the files, I have some. I realized that when I was describing in my little introduction, my interests in areas of experience, it kind of seems all over the place, but I do have some experience with video editing and that sort of thing, so I can give it a shot. Certainly haven't done it in this kind of setting, but yeah. Good stuff. And then let's see, number 3 was the U.S. recipient network. So I've been calling public library systems, community colleges, and rehabilitation hospitals, where I have some people planted here and there, to try to get a better sense for how people are really obtaining access to domestically to potential recipients, or how are they hearing about them, where are these people coming through, and is there any follow-up after the initial hand has been built. And I'm sorry, so the public library systems are places where there are maker spaces already in place, and where a hand has already been delivered. I've just been really Googling and looking for any new snippets of libraries that have printed a hand, and then cross-referencing that against our network and seeing if any of those individuals are already part of e-NABLE. And in many cases, they're not. Yeah, just trying to get a better sense for this huge number of sort of unrelated networks. Go ahead, John.
I just want you to have in mind that Rick is working on chapter audits, and we have the whole e-NABLE map, and talking to various chapter leaders about their cases and where they got them and how would be a pretty good way of capturing much of the available knowledge about how people have found it, right?
Yeah, that's a much better idea. I do have a couple of people here in Kansas City. I was hoping to, because there are a couple of cases in need of follow-up, and I'm aware of a couple of people in need of new devices, to see if we could set up a sort of test kitchen to see how we can maybe establish a process that can, be extrapolated out on a larger scale. No, I think that's a wonderful idea and something that would likely supercharge that effort. But beyond that, as I stated a couple of weeks ago, my current role is primarily in process optimization and sort of closing those workflow gaps. So outside of those three prongs of outreach, anywhere where I can just be a contractor and say, hey, I think this could be improved here, that can be improved there. If you wanted my 2 cents, I'm happy to help out.
I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I got to say, it's really interesting. I know we only have two of, well, we'll talk to Saif in a moment if she's available. So we only have a few of the people on our list here today, but still you're both already finding your way to these really interesting focus areas that complement each other, but don't conflict. And I think that's just wonderful. So we just got to kind of fill in some details of what the others are up to. But so far, it seems like there's a wonderful synergy here. From what we know, I know Ian was interested in working on improving our device catalog, integrating with the NIH 3D print exchange. What else were his interests that you can recall, John or Ben?
I have Ian down for catalogs, interns, catalogs and interns. That's what I have.
Okay. I mean, I kind of got the impression that he would be in a good position to help kind of more broadly coordinating sort of throughout the educational entities in the e-NABLE network, if you will. I don't know how to describe that. Ben, what are your thoughts on that? Was that something that's been discussed?
Yeah, I think the interns with their projects are going to be helping to organize a catalog around the NIH 3D print exchange.
Okay.
And I think in and of itself, that's going to bring a lot of focus together in terms of sort of the kind of networking amongst the schools. This coming school year could be a really great idea to try to have these interns and Ian help with coordinating I think some more momentum between some of the efforts. And again, he's the new meeting coordinator for
that's what I was getting at. So he is leading the education meetups.
Yeah.
Okay. Because one of the things that we had talked about was, we've got all these classrooms out there and they love the e-NABLE program, but in most cases you get a classroom full of kids, they make a bunch of devices, and then we got a bunch of devices. What do we do with them, especially given our shortage of people seeking devices right now? And so we had talked about the other wonderful things that could be done in these classrooms, like assessing devices, building test rigs, and helping us to gather data and stuff like that. And we were thinking that he might be able to help us get some of that better documented and sort of standardized for classrooms to take advantage of.
Right. And he also, I believe he's going to try to join Eric's presentation at 1 p.m. Eric has a lot of experience with these test rigs and having that be a part of sort of kind of the curriculum in support of work that's going on in other places. So I think Eric's going to be a really important part of that conversation. And definitely Ian is pretty keen on helping to coordinate that. Just a quick plug, I did hear back from Saif just a few minutes ago that she's able to present her updates next week in the e-NABLE education meeting. So that'll be hosted by Ian, a presentation by Saif. So, I think it's a really good opportunity for education this year.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, it's actually developing nicely, and I think we want to kind of keep building this out. I don't want to do too much of that for people. I'd rather let them tell us what they're focused on, but I look forward to hearing from Eric and Jeff and Tanya and Lindsay. I guess for now, Adam, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about at the moment, or should we move on to another topic on the agenda?
No, I'm happy to move on.
Okay. I guess we should go back to our tickets here. And I just saw a message in chat from Rick about this, which means I'm probably late on doing something here.
Jeremy,
Yes.
I want to screen share for a second, if you'll let me.
Yeah, go for it.
As I am wont to do, I am just trying to create a diagram to show how this is beginning to fit together. I will share this and then fleshing it out, but sort of an emerging network of who is focusing on what, with other people to add and fill in. So it may be helpful for people like Safe, who's here, for example, and Rick, who's here, to think about what one-liners characterize their areas of focus.
Are you no longer using the Atlas?
You know, that's correct. I haven't touched the Atlas in about 3 years. It's a lot of work and it didn't get much traction. So I'm just sketching here.
Okay. Yeah, it serves the same purpose. All right. Let's see. Get my notes back up here. Okay, so let's see. We have a ticket here looking for chapter support. Let's see. Retired engineer, 3D printing for the past 3 years, designing projects on Fusion 360 with a personal license. Is there any way to get the educational license, giving me more scope to help improve or even design a hand? Well, that's not really our call. He has to ask Autodesk, but they changed their licensing a while back. So I'd have to look at what they used to offer free licenses for. I don't remember what their wording was. People, using it for charitable purposes and personal licenses and all that. But I think they changed some of that. Does anyone else here know what current licensing options are?
I don't.
We had asked them and they didn't get back to us because I've had a lot of people write to me and say, I don't have the money for a CAD program. What can I do? And I've been sending a lot of them to FreeCAD. FreeCAD has really come a long way. It's super impressive.
And there's Onshape too, which is another one we've been very fond of that is completely fully functioned with a free license, except that you have to keep your designs open, which is fine for us. I guess I would have to do some poking around on here to see what their current terms are for licenses, because they may have changed it. I guess I can try to answer this one. I won't try to do that research now, but okay, I will come back to this one later, Rick, and see if I can.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was some special arrangement you had with them.
No special arrangement. I have the educational license just because I in part use it to teach my son who's homeschooled, so I have an easy option there. But they used to have terms that include people using it for nonprofit work and stuff like that would include us, but I'll have to find that language and see if it still applies. So I'll get back to them. Okay, so let's see if there are other tickets here that we need to look at. Let's see. Enable and yeah. Oh, this was one that I drafted last time and never sent. So, okay. I never finished my work from last week. I got to get a better system here for these, because when I go to my view, I'm only seeing my company tickets, not these. Okay. Did we try putting this through Google Translate?
I actually tried and I got nothing. So
yeah, that's probably spam. Yeah, it's got a zip file. This is somebody trying to send us malware. So just close that.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I tried to run it through the translate. I got nothing, so I didn't know.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so John sent an email over to Chemico, the one that we were talking about with that network of libraries in Texas. She says, glad you feel interested.
But we flubbed the next meeting, so it'll happen after the 16th.
Well, that's fine. I kind of prefer that timing myself anyway. So are you going to firm something up then? Are you going to follow up? Did this go?
I have followed up.
You have. Okay. So I'll leave that to you. I'm just going to close this ticket. Okay. Do we have anything else? What is this? Questions about device? Rick, do you need any help with this one? Director of Innovation at Fairfield College Preparatory School, wanting to incorporate e-NABLE into the curriculum.
Well, I asked him for additional info, and it looks like he gave me some, and I haven't responded yet. Sorry.
Okay,
But
no problem.
I don't have any problem with anybody.
Now there's a template for this. I don't know if you use our templates here. Are you familiar with this button here? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
There is one for how to get started with e-NABLE in the classroom here that includes a lot of kind of good links for them to get started and suggestions of, what they can do. It's a little bit out of date because it includes, among other things, once you've made your devices, you can send them to this chapter in Georgia that was doing our collection and inventorying. I have no idea what happens with those. It's kind of a black hole. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was worried about, I didn't want to get into a position where I sent him a form letter and it was wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounded like it was pretty serious, and I wanted to make it a little more personal. So I could use all the help that anyone would want to pitch in on this to make sure we pay him a little attention and give him the proper info that's up to date.
Well, I mean, we might want to just take out this part. Ben or John, do either of you know anything about this collection, or do you know Dr. Brent Hollers, or what's going on?
No, I really can't tell the difference between two hypotheses. One is that there's just nothing there, and the other is that it's something in Maria's network that we don't have access to. But either way, I don't think we should be promoting it if we don't know what's going on.
So this is something that Bob helped us set up. It's something where they are organizing devices and sorting them into different categories. They've been pretty responsive. I know Bob has been pretty, in the past, was encouraging of that project. So we can just follow up with them and ask.
Well, I think you should ask Bob whether he knows there's actually any life in it. One of the things that happens with us is that we set things up and some of them just sort of wither away unnoticed.
It's the summer though, so we probably want to wait until the fall. But I think last time I checked, they were still active.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out how best to respond to this person. I definitely want to share some of these resources with them, and this includes, among other things, the curriculum materials that Lindsay developed, and some of the other getting started guides, but I'm not quite sure if this last part is still appropriate.
Yeah, I worry about giving people the wrong information, then they get frustrated.
I've been using the device catalog or the device depository in references to people that have an extra device. I think it's definitely something to use until if we find out that they're not active. That's fine, but I think they are still accepting devices.
Okay.
I've been using it in the previous newsletter, so yeah, with Brent Hollers.
Okay, well, we can leave that in then. Well, maybe we just can use our standard template here then. I mean, I think all these links are still relevant.
I'll put myself down as an action item to follow up with them.
Do you want me to just CC you on this email then, Ben?
Perfect. What I meant was with the device repository, but yeah, if you CC me, that'll be a good reminder. Why not?
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah, pretty fine.
All right. Well, this will get them started. So we'll consider that one closed until they reply back. And I think that was the last one here in open tickets. Yeah. So I don't think I had anything else on the agenda because I was thinking we were going to get into a big discussion. Where are we at with Nate's proposal? Is that still going? Let's take a look at that.
I think it was extended. I looked at it yesterday and it looks like it's extended to the 8th.
Okay. By the way, I don't know if you do have to scroll down farther here. And the reason why is in the actual root of e-NABLE, I went ahead and copied our instructions and the template right here into the page description. I thought people were not finding it otherwise. So I added that right into the page template. I hope you guys are okay with that. Let's see, NIOP phase 4. Closing August 8th. Yeah, so that was extended. And he is at 11 agree votes, 5 abstentions, and 2 disagrees. Okay, so some discussion still seems to be needed.
I will say that both Ben and Evan have reached out to me. I don't think we've heard anything back, but
Okay. Other than the date changing, do we know if there were any changes made based on that? It doesn't look the same to me. Yeah, because he's still talking about incorporating as a for-profit. Yeah, so, all right, well.
you know, I don't have a problem with the extension of the date, but do we have a policy on it, on extensions?
I don't think we do. It's an interesting point. You know, theoretically, somebody could just keep extending it until they get the numbers they want, but it's not something we've codified.
That's true, although they can't simply do that if people vote against.
That's true.
But okay, worth noting, but.
Yeah, I say we let it run. It hasn't been an issue so far.
That's right.
All right. And then let's see, we already kind of talked about the work going on in Tanzania, and Ben is going to leverage that piece that Creality put together. And then we have a topic of R&D here, which I don't think there's anything new to talk about unless you have anything new to show us, Rick.
Well, kind of do.
Okay.
Yesterday I met with Dr. Hurt. He was in for an emergency surgery, and so we delivered the leg to him yesterday, and he loved it.
Oh,
and
nice.
he wants to set it up fitting with the owner. So hopefully we'll get to do that. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about is in an earlier meeting, you all had talked about making braces. And also we had talked a little about doing sockets, and we're working on a Blender plugin that kind of does it automatically, because it's doing shape modeling is very difficult. And this thing, the way we've been playing with it, it allows you to kind of paint. You can actually take a 3D photo of someone's nub, and you can just paint onto that photo, and it just creates it and then removes the nub, so what's left is a socket. And this used to take hours, and now I can do it like in a few minutes. And we're testing and playing with it now, and so far it's working really, really nicely. So it might be something we can share if the thing actually functions well. But we used it yesterday, and it was awesome. I mean, it saved me so much work. And of course, we have this one too. We finished. Kind of cool, huh?
And which it's the arc sand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were playing with this. We finally got the backing and everything on, and we changed. This one has the springs internally. All the springs are inside. We got this one done yesterday. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see the retraction springs are inside. But this isn't going to be the final. We're going to put the bicycle chain fingers on it.
Yeah. Okay.
We just wanted to get this part finished, and he doesn't like the thumb, so we're going to go back and redo the thumb.
Who is this for potentially?
Well, it's too big. This is actually the same size as my hand. This one's going to be for Marcus, but he does not at all like the thumb because it's passive. It just swivels.
And Marcus he's what, like 12? How old is he?
He just turned 7.
Okay.
And he's very dissatisfied with the thumb.
Okay. All right.
He gives me a lot of feedback, so we're going to fix that.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, we have to put a channel in to make it an active thumb. So we'll be taking care of that this week.
Good stuff.
He can't throw a ball this way. That's not acceptable.
So Saif, I don't want to put you on the spot, but there was a suggestion of maybe getting an update from you on your work, if you care to share anything.
Hey, great to see everyone. Hi. I think for our work, we were planning on presenting next week on at Ben's Education Forum.
Okay.
Some of the things that we'll discuss is an overview of the study that we did with the interviews, helping people to understand the different ways that clinicians, makers, and recipients work together, what works, what doesn't, and then opening up the opportunity if they want to conduct research in my lab, because I'm happy to host students there. With respect to my lab right now, we're working on tools so that people with disabilities can join gig markets. And so there, I think it can be an interesting opportunity to think about what type of devices should we design for people who want to find jobs online? How is it different than current devices that they might have? And so that could be an opportunity that they could work on. And I'll discuss just briefly that work that I'm also doing. But overall, I think that I want to mention that I have lab space for people who want to join. I'm in the Boston area, and I think also there could be value in coordinating with, for instance, people in Latin America that might also want to join. We could also have them there in Mexico City, because we also collaborate with UNAM at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. And so that was overall the spiel that I would give. I don't know, Ben, if this works for you, or like if you prefer that I change anything, also happy to.
That's great.
That sounds great to me.
Good stuff.
Great.
Well, I don't have anything else on the agenda for today. I left it kind of open, as I said. So let me just ask if the folks here have anything that you'd like to discuss, anyone at all. We've got a little time left if you'd like to use it. Adam, are you still with us?
I'm still here.
I'm just curious, are you going to be available to join that next educational meetup? I don't know if are you plugged in on those?
I'm not. Is that later today?
No. Is that when is that, Ben? Is it next week sometime?
Next Friday at 12.
I would just, I would think that you might be interested in some of the results that Saif is going to be talking about. She's done some really interesting research, like she was talking about how, recipients work with, medical professionals and the follow-up.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you might enjoy
that.
that.
I will. I'll mark time on my calendar and make sure I can attend. That sounds great.
Right. And welcome, is it Utkarsh? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Hi, my name is Utkarsh. Nice to meet y'all.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Welcome. You're joining us kind of at the tail end of our meeting. We're actually just kind of starting to wrap up, but I'm glad you could join. You want to kind of introduce yourself and let us know where you come from?
Yeah, I apologize. I was in a previous meeting, so I just
no problem.
last minute. But
I'm
part of the Helping Hand project. So I'm entering my final semester in undergraduate at North Carolina State University. I've been part of the Helping Hand project, the NC State chapter. So I've spent the last couple of years in chapter leadership and volunteering there, and now I'm currently entering the total organization, and I'm the nonprofit intern this summer.
Oh, excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, Utkarsh.
Nice to meet y'all too.
So what is your mission for the summer, for the internship? Do you have a specific project or area to focus on?
So my goal this summer has been in case recruitment. So throughout the pandemic, within the chapters, there's been growing interest in, our cause and what we do. And because of the pandemic, we have been sort of limited in our external outreach. So this summer has been mainly focused on trying to network with new families and trying to bring in more cases towards the chapters.
Good stuff. You might want to look at the recording from the earlier part of today's meeting. Adam Jennings, who's here with us today, shared some thoughts of what he's been working on, which is also related to outreach. And he's got some very interesting work going on there, and you guys might benefit from comparing notes. So you might want to check that out when you have time.
And Adam, I will have been really remiss if I didn't say this before, but the Helping Hands organization, which is a nonprofit in its own right, an e-NABLE chapter and affiliate, is really a paragon of how to do outreach and follow-up in the entire e-NABLE community. So I really do think it would be great for you to compare notes with Utkarsh and Jeff Powell, who started as a college student with us and is now a NMD and continuing to be involved with the Helping Hands group.
Beautiful. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll follow up with Adam after the meeting then.
Yeah, sounds good. So as I said, we were actually just kind of starting to wrap up, and I was just asking if anybody here had anything else they'd like to chat about. So if anyone has any updates or questions or anything you'd like to talk about or share, now's the time.
Maybe just a quick reminder that we've got the Bionx meeting starting at 1 with Eric Bubar presenting. Vivek is going to be hosting the session. I can add in a link in the chat, but for everybody here, please think about dropping by, and most of it should be open for discussion. So if anybody is interested in the kind of follow-up that we're talking about, I think it could be an opportunity. It looks like the father of a device user did say that he's going to be going to that, so there could be a really great dialogue between makers and device users, and having the father, I think, create the device for his daughter. So I'll add the link in the chat.
All right. I'm just looking at the chat here. Rick has found a guest speaker for us. Wonderful. Yeah, right now I don't have anyone on the schedule other than the one we just did. Yeah, so I don't have anyone on the list for the weeks coming up. So you can take your pick any Friday. Just let me know. We'll put them on the agenda, and we usually try to cover just a couple of action items and things like that. So we usually give about 45 minutes to guest presenters, and that way we can cover a couple of other things. All right, well, it sounds like there's nothing else. We'll go ahead and wrap up here, and we'll see you, some of you for the Bionx meeting in an hour, and the rest of you next week. Thanks all.
Thank you.